The full Senate is scheduled to receive a closed-door briefing tomorrow on Saudi Arabia from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Defense Secretary James Mattis, but they will not hear from CIA Director Gina Haspel or any other intelligence officials about the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. According to The Guardian, officials said the decision for Haspel not to appear came from the White House. One Senate staffer told The Guardian the decision to not have a single intelligence official at the briefing is, quote, totally unprecedented and should be interpreted as nothing less than the Trump administration trying to silence the intelligence community. The report led to this question being asked of National Security Advisor John Bolton today.
Tell me the other questions.
Gina Haspel from sharing information with members of Congress.
But of course, if the CIA director does not attend a briefing that the Senate wants her to attend, that can only be because the president is forbidding her from attending. There is no other reason. Tomorrow's briefing comes as the Senate is expected to vote as soon as this week on a resolution to cut off U.S. support for Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen in response to the Khashoggi murder. The Trump White House does not want that resolution to pass. Gina Haspel's absence has been frustrating even for some Republican senators.
It'd be very good for the CIA director to be there, too. I think people are going to care a great deal about what's happening in Yemen, no question. But they're also going to care a great deal about the CIA views on the Crown Prince.
In a new interview tonight, President Trump told the Washington Post this lie about the Crown Prince's involvement in the Khashoggi murder. Quote, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but he denies it. And people around him deny it, and the CIA did not say affirmatively he did it either, by the way. I'm not saying that they're saying he didn't do it, but they didn't say it affirmatively. That is a lie. The CIA did say affirmatively that the Crown Prince ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. CIA Director Gina Haspel has listened to the audio tape of the murder and other evidence in the case, which would make her the most valuable participant in tomorrow's Senate briefing. Today, National Security Advisor John Bolton offered an imbecilic reason for why he says that he has refused to listen to the audio recording of the murder.
No, I haven't listened to it. And I guess I should ask you, why do you think I should? What do you think I'll learn from it?
Well, you're the National Security Advisor. You might have access to that sort of intelligence.
Yeah. How many in this room speak Arabic?
You don't have access to an interpreter?
Well, you want me to listen to it? What am I going to learn from? I mean, if they were speaking Korean, I wouldn't learn any more from it either.
The interpreter would be able to tell you what's going on.
Then I can read a transcript, too. I'm just trying to make the point that everybody who says, why don't you listen to the tape, unless you speak Arabic, what are you going to get from it?
Of course, because this was a White House briefing, there was, of course, no follow-up question asking him if he even read the transcript. Joining us now is Ambassador Wendy Sherman, former Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs and an MSNBC contributor. Back with us is John Holland. And Ambassador Sherman, I want to start with your reaction to John Bolton saying, because some foreign intelligence is in a foreign language, no one in his position should avail himself of that intelligence. As I understand it, we have not been gathering English language intelligence on possible adversaries or contentious parties out there since the Civil War.
Indeed, Lawrence. There are two reactions. First, torture, terror, murder. The sounds of all of that are universal. You don't need an interpreter. I think that John Bolton doesn't want to listen to the tape. I think President Trump doesn't want to listen to the tape because they want deniability. They don't want to hear the horrific sounds of that tape. And yes, they could listen to it with a transcript sitting by them or with whisper interpretation while they're listening. But I feel like this is see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Three monkeys sitting on a couch, not willing to accept what the CIA is trying to tell them. And quite frankly, it is so, I was trying to think of an instance where I went up to Capitol Hill on a very serious security issue without the CIA. I know that the Republican majority would have insisted upon it because, quite frankly, they're more interested in listening to an intelligence assessment than to a policymaker's assessment because they think it will be more factual and without politics. And I think that's exactly why John Bolton and the president see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
And Ambassador Sherman, it also seems like they actively do not want to listen to it because they do not care, that there is nothing that they could possibly hear in that recording that would in any way affect their thinking about Saudi Arabia.
Indeed, I think that the Trump administration, quite frankly, a lot of leaders around the world have decided to give the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia a pass. But if you're going to give him a pass, which in this case I would not do, but if you are, end the Yemen war, stop offensive weapons being sold to Saudi Arabia, get them to try to patch things up with Qatar and find a way forward with all of the Gulf countries together if you really want to deal with the security issues, if you want to deal with Iran's behavior in the region. There is no strategy to do any of that. The Senate, and it was interesting to hear Bob Corker's comment. Bob Corker has always been someone who, as in his own words, would lay down on the railroad tracks to ensure that Saudi Arabia got whatever weapon system it wanted. He's now saying he's changed his mind. And besides the resolution on ending our involvement in Yemen, there is a possible war powers resolution that would come forward, which would be privileged, that McConnell could not stop. That would say that we cannot sell weapons as long as this goes on and there are no answers for the U.S. Senate or for the U.S. Congress. So it will be interesting days ahead to see what happens here.
John Heilemann, CIA Director Gina Haspel listened to the audio. She actually went to Istanbul where the murder took place. She did her own hands-on investigation. No one more valuable, no one higher ranking in the Trump administration who knows more about this. She's the obvious person for the Senate to hear from tomorrow. Washington Post reported weeks ago that the CIA found that the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, ordered the assassination, and they hold that view with what the CIA calls high confidence. Yeah. That is what the Trump administration does not want the Senate to hear tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I find the whole discussion, to be candid, a little ridiculous on some level. Your point is the correct point. I don't know about John Bolton. I don't know where he's at on this, and there may be some level of denial, and he doesn't want to hear the screams and all that stuff. Donald Trump knows exactly.
Wait, it may also be he has listened to the tape and he was lying there.
It's totally possible.
Everything's possible.
But the Donald Trump thing is really simple. He knows what happened.
Yeah.
He has no doubt in his mind. He's not actually, I love Wendy Sherman, and she's right about almost everything, but Trump is not in denial. He just does not care. He does not care.
Wendy Sherman's a diplomat. That's why she said he's in denial.
He does not care that Khashoggi was murdered at MBS's order. He does not care. What he cares about is himself and money. Mm-hmm. And he has had longstanding ties with the kingdom. He's had longstanding ties with the prince. His family has had longstanding ties with the prince. And he knows he's going to be out of office at some point. And if he stays tight with the prince, he can make more money by staying tight with MBS than by turning against him. It's really simple. He's a kleptocrat. And in the end, he does not care about journalists. He doesn't care about journalists' lives. He doesn't care about this particular journalist or the fact that he was dismembered, had his body scattered in a field someplace. He does not care. All he cares about is what's in his best financial interest today, yesterday, and particularly tomorrow. And that makes him just say, I don't care. I'm sticking with MBS.
We're going to have to leave it there. Wendy Sherman, John Heilemann, thank you both for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.